we will get started. All right, well, welcome everyone, and thank you for joining us for the Executive Director Quarterly Update. I am Chris Wiseman, the Executive Director for Habitat for Humanity of Chester County. As you know, a lot of times during these quarterly updates, we give a sort of a broad range of things that are happening within the organization. One of the key most important aspects that makes Habitat work is the partnerships that we have with both for-profit and nonprofit entities. And so we are blessed to be joined by several of those partners tonight. We have Chad Densby, who is here from Viwinco Glass and Doors, Don Nemitz, who is here from North Star of Chester County, Kelly Ragazzino from Open Hearth Inc., and Ken Blackburn, owner from Chad's Ford Climate Control, amongst many other things that Ken does. So a couple of housekeeping things. There is, for those that are joining us live, there is a Q&A button. If you have questions throughout the webinar, press that button, put in your question, and if it's, we will address those questions as we can. If not, we will certainly get to them at the end. As I mentioned, this is being recorded, so we will send out a follow-up email and link to where we can share this video after the fact. And if anybody has any suggestions on how best to support that and put that out into the world, let us know. Any other future suggestions for ED quarterly updates, we'd love to hear that as well. So I'm going to kick us off tonight with just a brief update on some of the things that are happening in Habitat. I'm going to talk a little bit about some of our new home builds, give an update on where those are taking place and new ones that are upcoming. Talk about rehabilitations, the extreme growth in our critical home repair program, and celebrate together the fact that the Restore in Phoenixville has reached 1 year. So let's start with new home builds. So we're very, very excited that we are coming to the close of a 44 home community in the city of Coatesville called Cambria Terrace. And the final 4 homes are right now, as we speak, being completed. We are this close. We're just waiting for the final pieces with Pico and a couple other things to get that started, to get the final houses connected, and then we will be able to have the dedications and move those homeowners in. This has been a long-term effort to get this home completed. These homes completed. If for those that know the area, if you've ever seen what was here before, there was an old housing project called the Oak Street Housing Project, and it was basically a big concrete slab. We have literally changed the landscape of the city of Coatesville up on the hill. These beautiful homes. We're really excited to be able to recognize the entire community of Cambria Terrace come this fall. So more information about that as we go along. On the southern part of the county, we continue to develop the Fuller Meadows homes. We have finished phase 3 recently. Phase 4 is well underway, and we have now got permission to start the second half of these homes. And so phase 5 will begin in the fall. This is a 40 home community built in groups of 5 townhomes. And so we're this close to finishing up halfway. We expect to be able to get through the next half of this in the next 2 to 3 years and welcome another 20 plus homeowners into this lovely community. And then next, once we finish up Coates and Lumber, we are just now getting the final permissions and the little zoning ordinances worked out to start the Coates Street and Lumber Street project. This is also in the city of Coatesville. This sits on 3 lots, one on Lumber Street and then a couple of lots on Coates Street that will produce 6 homes. We're very, very excited about this project because it is pretty shovel ready. There's not a lot of infrastructure that has to be done. And there are homeowners from earlier Habitat builds in this community. We also recently completed a neighborhood revitalization on the same street in Coates, where we went through and did a lot of things to help make the community look even brighter and shine more, fix some awnings, do some painting, that kind of thing. So we're really excited to have an even bigger, deeper impact as we continue to grow those opportunities for affordable homeownership in the city of Coatesville. Next up on our development is a really big project that right now we're calling the Foundry Street project. This is basically a hillside. This is the Coatesville Area High School. You can see on your screen there. It's kind of just behind there, and if you kind of follow it up the hill below the VA in the city of Coatesville, it's in Callan Township. There's basically 3 sections. There's a lower portion, which we have purchased, that will produce anywhere between 6 to 10 homes, depending on how that part is developed. There is an upper portion, which had originally been planned to build 21 larger homes. We were re-engineering that and putting a plan together that we think can produce 30 plus homes. And then what's really interesting is the original developer for this program was looking to build a solar field. That didn't pan out originally, but now with some of the different tax incentives and other development opportunities, we're still in discussion about potentially having a solar field in the middle of this property. There will be a lot more information to come, and I'm sure an entire ED quarterly update talking about that, because this is going to be one of those kind of projects, again, like Cambria Terrace, that changes the landscape and really provides an incredible opportunity for folks between Downingtown and Coatesville and all points in between to be able to have affordable housing in a really beautiful, beautiful setting. We're not stopping with new homes. We continue to buy other homes that are stressed, and we look to rebuild them in. I always say we're really terrible flippers. We buy homes and lose money on every deal, but we do make them affordable for homeowners to be able to come in. Well underway is a home in West Grove, what we call the Edge Hill House. It's a beautiful twin that we're working on right now. This is going to be a partnership with the USDA, who's going to provide some of the funding to be able to build, as well as provide the mortgage for the homeowner that comes in here. So it's a great relationship to be able to continue that partnership. That relationship exists in the West Grove project at Fuller Meadows as well. So we're expanding upon that relationship with the USDA. And then we have another house in Coatesville on Strode Avenue that we will be working on this fall as well. And we've just received a grant for $100,000 for the purchase and rehabilitation of 2 more homes in the city of Coatesville. So we are out scouring different opportunities right now. We have folks on our board who are really helpful in identifying those properties and getting us in to see them and connecting us with what will be the next Habitat home. And then we're very excited to continue the critical home repair program. We received a grant to really be able to kick off a significant number of critical home repairs. We received funding to be able to perform 100 critical home repairs in the city of Coatesville over the next 3 years, on top of the incredible amount of work that we're still doing throughout the rest of the county. Critical home repair is what it sounds like. It is repairs to homes that homeowners are currently in, but may not be able to stay there safely. So think of a senior aging in place that needs a wheelchair ramp or a bathroom that, where they can be safe in. We have folks who have, different mobility issues, and we've had to build them new bathrooms and bedrooms downstairs. Otherwise, they would have to leave their homes. So we're very excited about that, and we continue to grow our footprint throughout the county on those as well. And then finally, as I mentioned, the restores are just doing gangbusters. The Callan Restore, even with the opening of the Phoenixville Restore, has had the 3rd year in a row as the biggest sales years in its history, which is really, really incredible. And on top of that, we opened and have been open for 1 year now in Phoenixville. If you haven't been by the Phoenixville Restore, it is quite the gem. It's a hidden jewel. Great things to be had in there. I stop by all the time and find wonderful new things, taking a few things in myself to donate. But for those that don't know the full purpose of the Restore, imagine a home goods rehabilitation store like a Goodwill, but for home goods. The Restore has the mission to be able to support us by selling those goods and putting that back into home ownership. But it also has a second mission to be able to divert a lot of material that would be going to a landfill and finding a new home and a use for that too. So doing a lot of good with the Restore as well. So that's my update for us. As I said, I'm really, really excited to be able to welcome our guest panelists tonight. And first up on our list is Chad Dansby from BuyWinco Windows and Doors. And Chad, I'm going to turn it over to you to be able to talk a little bit about what BuyWinco does and the relationship you guys have with Habitat.
Thanks, Chris. Can you hear me? Everything okay with that? Okay. So my name is Chad Dansby. I'm the Northern Regional Sales Manager for BuyWinco Windows and Doors. I cover basically Virginia Beach to upstate New York, as far west as St. Louis. We have my counterpart that covers the Outer Banks down through Florida and over to Biloxi. So kind of a coastal window. That's what we have that. We do a whole lot of coastal impact type vinyl windows. Pretty much the industry leader on that product as far as a vinyl window. So, but we also have new construction replacement products that we sell inland, like I said, as far as St. Louis or, into Mississippi and stuff like that. So We are located in Morgantown, Pennsylvania. That's where all of our manufacturing is done. So we're pretty close to you guys there. We're 40 plus years in business manufacturing vinyl windows. We've always been there or close to Morgantown, where we manufacture. So yeah, we've had a long relationship with you guys. I think that's been we've progressed that over the last couple of years, but we sell, like I said, getting back to what we do a new construction window as well as a replacement window, only vinyl. We're one of the last window manufacturers that are still family owned. In our industry, there's not many of us left, so we're very proud of that. We have just completed a new state-of-the-art glass facility that will allow us to continue to make one of the best vinyl windows at the lowest lead times in the industry. So we've always valued the partnership. We believe in the mission for that Habitat does. I think we partner better and more with Chris, you guys, but we also do a lot for the Eastern Shore, Habitat, and other places around. So our owners always kind of believed in what Habitat does in the community, and even prior to me being involved, we've been a long-term partner there. One of the things that we do that I think sets us apart from a lot of people is we control the source. Just like the glass facility, we have our own state-of-the-art glass facility. Not all window manufacturers have that. That helped us tremendously over the last 3 years because we wasn't as dependent on other vendors for material and things like that. We had that in-house. Yeah, we're located right in your backyard, so that's always convenient. Dalton Leedy is our local sales rep for that area, and anything we can do to further the partnership, obviously we're willing to do that in providing not only the new construction but even some of the replacement products and some of the critical home repair or rehabs, those kind of things that you guys do. So that's pretty much all I have. Again, we would be willing to help, any partner or anybody associated with Habitat if we can. So
I had one question that came up earlier from one of our volunteers who works on site at the at our West Grove site where we put in a number of your guys' windows. Had asked how they could learn to do those windows installations themselves, if that was a possibility.
So one of the other things that I didn't mention that we're proud of and sets us apart too is like Dalton, myself, the other guys that work under me. We're always out in the field. It's pretty common to see a Viwinco rep on a job site, whether that be with the installer or after the installer to do walkthroughs and things. So but the beauty of having our facility and the campus that we have now that's grown tremendously over the last few years is we do tours all the time and bring people in to show them not only how the product's made, but how the things we do with manufacturing that product that ties into the install. So we will do trainings in the field, in our location, wherever, to help with the install. That only helps us and everybody else involved if everybody installing is, at least knows what they're doing and how to do it the correct way. So
I will say it is a beautiful product. You can see that in our West Grove project, the Fuller Meadows project. The entire first phase, all of those windows were donated by Winco to be put into there, and the savings for that, the in-kind savings, is just amazing. And then Winco, Chad, and your group has continued to provide free windows as we move through. Not every one of them, obviously, but as we continue to order from you guys and looking, out to how we can support those as well. So it is one of those critical pieces. We have nationwide relationships with folks like Sherwin-Williams and Maytag, but a lot of local affiliates like us, we really rely on those corporate partnerships to be able to bring down the cost of that construction by those in-kind donations, and to be able to have a really superior product. I mean, we could go less, and there's probably other things that would be cheaper, but we want a high quality, affordable home for our homeowners, and we know Viwinco provides that kind of window on top of the discounts that you guys provide. So, thank you very much for that as well.
Yep. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you for that. And I would like to introduce Ken Blackburn, who is also one of our board members at Habitat. Ken, I'll ask you to unmute and then give us a little bit of background on your relationship with Habitat, your many hats that you wear, not just for Chadds Ford Climate Control, but kind of your mission in the community and the things that you do. Take it away.
Okay. Well, thank you, Chris. Thanks very much. And I guess as we'll just walk through.
Oh, as is always the case with the webinar. Ken,
Trucking company you'll see there with the other
sec.
truck, same logo, but that one includes Can you hear me?
We're breaking up there for a second, Ken. Yep, we'll try again here.
Okay, I keep an interruption. Don't ask me why, but it does interrupt here. First of all, just stepping back as a board member within the group here, working with Chris and others, I believe in paying it forward, and always we try and give back to the community. I think more than anything, Habitat provides a rewarding experience for all that are involved, whether the families that were, whether it's the board members, whether it's the volunteers and so on. And I really that I see across the board is everybody has the desire to achieve. And we all try and do great things. You just heard a few things here on Windows and Chris and so on, but it's just throughout the organization, and I'm proud to be part of it. Maybe Chris, the next one. Next slide.
Yep.
Okay. So with that in mind, we had an opportunity, I guess we're getting ready as I joined the board, the West Grove project, where there's about 40 townhomes that were going to be built. We kept scratching our head and saying, how can Chadds Ford Climate Control help? And what we decided, and a lot of it was inspired by Chris, was to we could purchase HVAC systems and basically store them in our warehouse. And at that time, we were kind of in the early days of COVID, and the prices were just spiraling like wood and everything else out of control. And that let us lock in, hold prices, and we began the stepwise growth of the HVAC systems. So normally what would happen is we'll build 5 homes at a time. Chadds Ford will put of course, all 5 in it, but we'll donate the last one or the 5th one. And the team below, you can kind of see the breadth of our company. It's grown quite nicely. And as I said, we're covering both Pennsylvania and Delaware now. So maybe the next one, Chris. We also quite active in addition to Habitat by giving back to the community. As I said earlier, as we started with in 2007, we had 1 truck and a team, and it's today grown to 38 trucks and over 45 employees. And our family's part of that too, and believe in giving back to the community. You can see one of our tents there, one of the functions, that's the Unionville Community Fair. The one to the right is the Mushroom Festival, which we attend annually. That happens to be my son-in-law on the duck. It's not me. and then to the right, you'll see the annual Chadds Ford pumpkin carve. And we're quite involved with the Historical Society there in Chadds Ford and so on. So it just goes along with the kinds of things we're doing with Habitat, but we try and do it in a lot of different ways. Another area is, as Chris has mentioned, it's not always new construction. Sometimes we're trying to purchase a property and rehab it or otherwise. This is just an example of one we looked at in Coatesville. And in this case, we declined to go forward with it, but it had been in a fire, and we're always looking at it. Chadds Ford is certified as a building analyst and also an envelope professional. So we are qualified to assess buildings and complete energy audits and so on, and assess the mechanicals. And in this case, we declined this one, but it was one we certainly looked at. There were others that we looked at. Chris mentioned a few. One of them was also purchased, but we're hoping to continue doing that and carrying that forward. Chris, maybe the next one. I'd say one of the most enjoyable experiences is when you finally put this all together. Habitat team has done a great job. First of all, finding the financing. As you just heard from Chris, there's a lot of different creative opportunities that we've found. Also finding the properties. It's not always easy to find the properties. And then lastly, finding the families that qualify and participate in the programs. And in this case, it's a photo here where one of the families had just closed on the house. And it's a very enjoyable time as you turn over the keys, as Chris says. And I'd say that's worth it right there. So next one, Chris. On behalf of my family and employees, we'd really like to extend our thanks to Habitat for providing the wonderful opportunity they do. We're glad to be part of it. There's different aspects here. The truck shows a picture of our mascot, which is Chloe, one part of our family. The second photo over, that's my granddaughter and my son-in-law and some other people behind there. And then we had the whole team, including Chris, as we completed, I guess it was a section of 5 there with our vehicles there. But can't thank you enough, all of us. And to me, as much as we volunteer and so on, I just think it's a tremendous opportunity for everybody all the way around. Glad to be part of it, Chris.
Well, thank you, Ken. And it's to the same sort of idea when we talked about Winco's relationship with Habitat. It is absolutely critical to our success to be able to have that corporate partnership, to be able to provide those in-kind donations. But beyond that, Ken, your leadership on the board and your vision for being able to step outside of just the role of HVAC and look at those new properties and extend, your expertise in that, to be actively involved in the construction committee. And we could go on and on. I don't want to feel like I'm seeking the praises, but I am, because that is the relationship that kind of starts with even the corporate relationship, but then finds that your mission aligns with our mission, and to be able to come in and provide even a bigger impact than even just that the physical piece of that, but to provide that expertise. We have, as Ken mentioned, a really dynamic board. We're very strategic in who we bring onto the board and what level of expertise they bring. And it is for me as an executive director, and we'll be talking about nonprofits in just a second about how important that is to be able to have those advocates, allies, and resources at your fingertips that you can just call upon. And Ken, you are certainly one of those. Chad's Ford is just one side of that, but the leadership that you bring to the board itself has been huge. So thank you very much for that.
Thank you. Thanks.
Well, I'm excited to talk about one of the first partnerships that I think I forged when I first started in this role a few years ago, and found out about this really amazing nonprofit and the work that they're doing in our county, North Star of Chester County, and their executive director, Don Niemitz. Don, I will let you take it away. I will again kind of click through. So if you just want to let me know as you need be, I will click through the slides for you as well.
Thanks, Chris. And thank you for putting this together for tonight. I think it goes quite well with the slides that I put together here about collaboration and how important that is. And I believe we met shortly after I became the executive director at North Star. Always appreciated what Habitat has done, but specifically what was going on here in Chester County with the struggles on affordable housing. And had a great conversation with you back then, and it really just started moving things forward. And we'll talk about that here towards the end of my time of the partnership. But I wanted to kind of give an overview of who North Star is and what we are trying to accomplish with the participants that were there. And so our mission, we're here to guide single working parents, single moms, single dads that have dependent children within Chester County who are at risk of homelessness. And our goal is to give them stability and financial independence when they graduate our program. And we do that by providing opportunity for the families that we work with to stay in clean, safe, affordable housing. And we really try to put together a structured program that will allow them to be self-sufficient by the time they graduate. And you can go to the next slide. This year's our 30th year. Started way back in 1993 by Michael Lewis and Carol Clark, who are icons in the community. And they wanted to start a program that kind of worked with families, single parents that were kind of making too much money for a lot of the assistants that are out there in the community, but not enough to really kind of pay all the bills. United Way calls this group the Alice families, asset limited, income constrained, and employed. So this is truly the working poor, those that are struggling but are working hard to try to make ends meet. When we first got started, we were called Interfaith Housing Assistance Corporation of Chester County. Now, back then, 2019, we switched that to something that more reflects what we're trying to do, is that guidance, and that's when we went into changing our name to North Star, and because that's what we're trying to do, is guide our families to self-sufficiency. And next, please. Most of our families reach out to us because we provide rental assistance. We don't pay for the entire rent. We typically pay and help with about somewhere around 30% of rental of their full rent. But it really comes down to, what is it going to take to provide some relief for the budgets for the families that we work with. And we do that by our case management team, which is phenomenal. People come to us because of rental assistance, but truly the magic is in the case management. We provide up to 3 years of rental assistance, but also 3 years of case management, really guiding and setting goals, not only our goals where we would like to see the families, but the families participate in goal setting. Where do they want to go? And we work together, and we provide a chance to provide goal setting for the 3 years. And by the time they graduate, our ultimate goal is that they're self-sufficient by the time they graduate. So, but our case management is really where the true magic happens in our program. Next, please. Here's our eligibility. Like I said before, a single mother or father living with dependent children in Chester County, employed at least 35 hours a week. There's times where we will take in a family with 30 hours with the expectation that they will try to get more hours. It's hard to be self-sufficient if you're not working that 35 hours plus a week. So that is why one of our eligibility criteria is there. And those that are struggling, sometimes it's not strictly financial. Sometimes the money's there, but maybe a divorce happens or a death in the family. There's lots of things that can cause struggle in a family's life. And we are in a position to help these families pull themselves together, structure a good plan to move forward. Non-subsidized housing, and no other adults in the household. And lastly, free from drug and alcohol for at least 18 months. Next, please. So back when I got the position of executive director at North Star about 3 years ago now, one of the first initiatives that we got up and running, or really expanded greatly, was partnering with Westchester Food Cupboard, and then also a local family foundation gave a grant to allow us to get an office pantry started. Not only is it food, but a lot of the non-SNAP type of items, paper products, cleaning products, diapers, things that you don't really pay attention to, but they add up a lot when you're in a grocery store trying to pull all these things together. So we started that about 3 years ago, and year over year, over these last 3 years, more and more of our families are coming in and using this on a regular basis to help soften the constraints on their budgets. Next, please. And like we've been talking all along, we look for partnerships. We look for collaborations all throughout the Chester County, and that's a big focus of mine. Since day one, I've been meeting with leaders of many different nonprofits, different foundations all throughout the county, and we started building this resource list. My thought is we don't need to create a lot of the resources ourselves. We can partner with others, and like I said before, food, we partner with the Westchester Food Cupboard. And what else did I have here? Oh, and then the gently used furniture. We used to have a small storage of gently used furniture, but then we had this fantastic community warehouse project that I got introduced to and saw what a wonderful job they were doing. And again, why do I need to be doing something when somebody is doing a fantastic job? And so we partnered with them. And further down the list, and you're going to hear from Kelly here in a little bit, but we also partnered with Open Hearth with the savings programs, matching savings programs for people that are saving up for home down payment money or for a car or emergency funding. Again, why do I need to start something new and from scratch when somebody else is doing a fantastic job? And so those are some of the resources that we've developed over the last couple of years. And then we have some fantastic donors picking up college application fees, not only for our parents, but also for their children. College application fees are $100, $200 sometimes. And what we try to do is eliminate those fees to gently ease the burden on their budgets. College entrance fees, food and gas cards. During COVID, multiple COVID kits were always available. And Nothing Bundt Cakes, the owner up in Exton, gives us free birthday cakes, not only for the parents, but for their children too, as examples. And next, please. And again, fantastic donors and partners. We are starting to pick up a lot of tuition for those that are in school, getting certificate type programs or trade type of program certificates, not only for the parents, but also for their children. So we are really looking to support the families that are in our program to help them now, but also help them in the future to break that cycle as they go into the next generation. Next, please. And partnership, like I said earlier today, we have a 3-year program. And when we get in that 3rd year, budgets are in good shape, and we're really focusing on increasing the FICO score, cleaning up that debt, and getting the families prepared to graduate. And to me, when I first got to North Star, I wanted to be much more intentional where we take our families. And I can't think of anybody better than Habitat to partner with. Owning your own home in a way that Habitat provides these homes at a fantastic cost, I can't think of anything better. So it became a very big focus that we prepare our families that we work with from the beginning. If this is something that they want to do, we will help them get there. And when they graduate, we refer our best people that graduate from the program to Habitat to be a potential Habitat homeowner. And I hope this is just the beginning of many, many years to come. But we had a family last year go into a Habitat home, what a fantastic feeling to be able to provide that service. We prepared her. You provided a home. Fantastic opportunity for the families that we work with. And
I think that's it.
that's all my fun stuff. That's it.
Don, clearly your passion for the mission that you guys serve is there. I believe it at your heart. I think that's what I left our first conversation with, was that we were like-minded in that desire to be able to serve and to be able to find a path for folks from wherever they are and started their journey to get to that place of stability that is ultimately, in home ownership. I think you said at one point is sort of the graduation ceremony of being able to go into a house, to know that you've taken someone who was struggling at that virtual, about to lose their home, right? And about to be able to no longer be able to do what they need to do as a parent, to be able to take care of their children, to move them from that spot all the way to the place where they're ready for home ownership is phenomenal. That relationship goes back and forth too. We've had folks who have applied for home ownership who were just not ready and who were struggling. And the majority of our homeowners are single parents. And so we're able to not only receive your applicants, but we've referred folks back to North Star, who we think would be, would benefit from your program as well. So I can't thank you enough for the continual relationship back and forth. You always know you're working with folks in the community when you see them in other things that aren't even related to the job that we do. We're in other places and working in other places. I see Don around the community as well, working and doing other things. So can't appreciate you guys enough for being able to do that. To your point, one of the things you said was, why reinvent the wheel? We looked at trying to create a program for folks who weren't ready. Well, looky there already is one that exists that you guys run better than anybody, any way that we could do it. So again, thank you very much for all the work that you do and your partnership.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you. Well, and now I'm excited to introduce Kelly Ragazzino, the CEO for Open Hearth, Inc. Speaking of seeing the same person throughout the entire community, I think even before I started at Habitat, I knew Kelly just from my work at the YMCA. So I think I've seen you around and doing things, and Kelly and I also serve on a couple other nonprofit boards and different things like that too. So very excited to hear about all the great work that the Open Hearth is doing and the important relationship that you have with Habitat. So I'll let you take it away. And you can share your screen if you want. I think you should be able to share your screen and do your own PowerPoint.
I appreciate that. I'm sorry I couldn't send it to you. I'm not tech savvy, so I tried, but it didn't work. Thank you so much for including me this evening, and I am going to go ahead and share my screen. It should be this.
Stop sharing mine. There you go. It should work.
Okay. And can you all see it? Is it working? Okay, great. So Open Hearth has been was established in 1991. So we're 32 years, I think, close to Don. I think that's what you said your organization was as well. So we've been around the block for quite a few years. Let me just see if this is working here. Yeah, our mission is Open Hearth is a leader in resource coordination and community building efforts. We provide innovative programs to support and empower people to end the cycle of homelessness, acquire affordable housing, a means of transportation, workforce opportunities, and achieve financial stability. All of our programming really grew out of, we started with doing a transitional housing program, and then it was kind of like, what's the next need and what's the next need, and if it wasn't being filled by another organization, then we developed it for ourselves. One of the things that we never want to do is duplicate services. You heard that from Don as well. We want to make sure that we're partnering, so we'll talk a little bit more about that, but really the focus is on housing, transportation, financial management, and community building. So who we help. We serve those folks who are at risk, either low-income households, people with disabilities, single parents, the elderly, individuals and families experiencing homelessness. And we also provide those services in Chester County and portions of Western Montgomery County. So our housing programs. So we have one of our programs is called the Housing Contingency Fund, and it is specific for people that have serious and persistent mental illness. We have 7 organizations who are able to make referrals to us for that program, and we're able to give them, we're able to provide one-time housing startup costs, emergency financial assistance, also electric help with utilities, and we are also able to help people who are experiencing homelessness with short-term respite in hotels until they have a long-term housing plan. So a few years ago, Open Hearth became the Targeted Homeless Resource Coordinator for the county. And basically what that means is we run a weekly meeting to talk about those people who are experiencing homelessness and the people that are on the county's by name list. And in best practice, in order to end any kind of homelessness in a community, is to really find out who is experiencing homelessness, basically get them on one list and start working the list. So we do this weekly meeting, and we have lots of community providers that join that call, from county government to nonprofits. Just a lot of folks that are coming, bringing their folks, and also talking about what's the next step for these people to get them to be rehoused and to stay housed. So really proud of our work with that. Our largest program is our Continuum of Care Supportive Housing Program. It's a HUD-funded program. We receive monies through the Department of Community Development in order to be able to administer it. It is for people who are experiencing homelessness and also have a disability. Over the last few years, the grants that came to us were for really for people who were experiencing chronic homelessness, which is not something that we think about in Chester County, really homelessness at all, with the wealth of the county that we have, but it does exist. People do experience chronic homelessness, and that definition is that they have experienced homelessness continuously for 1 year or have had 4 bouts of homelessness in the last 3 years. For our program, they also have to have a disability. It is a permanent supportive housing program. So once you're in our program, you do not have to leave the program. It is scattered sites, so people get to choose their housing where they want to be, and then we subsidize their rent based on their income if they have income. That also comes through that coordinated entry system and through the targeted homeless resource coordination. If people are eligible for things like the Housing Authority's mainstream vouchers, or what used to be called Section 8, which has less barriers than, or we have less barriers than theirs, and they qualify for that, they go to that program. That permanent supportive housing program is for people that have the most barriers to getting housing. And then we have financial management programs. And I think this is where we probably partner best. So I'll talk a little bit about that. So our financial navigation program is it's co-located with the PA Career Link and the United Way Financial Stability Center. We are a core provider at the center, really providing resource coordination and financial coaching, ensuring that when people want to make a change, a financial change, that we're able to support them to do that. So they may call us for something that is an immediate one-time need, or they may stay with us for a really long time and set goals to increase their income, decrease their debt, and increase their assets. And this program, people can refer themselves to the program, but we also have 20 organizations who make referrals to us. Both North Star and Habitat make those referrals. And the 20 referring partners are for the savings program. I got a little ahead of myself, but I'll just go there now. Sorry. Oh, I went a little too far. Okay, That's our Family Savings Partner Program, and partner is in there for a reason. We do want our other nonprofit organizations to work on the things that they work on and do the things they do best, and we're just a tool in their toolbox. That's the way we see this program, but it is an asset development program. The goals are home ownership, which is why we love partnering with Habitat. There is no better home ownership opportunity than people getting Habitat homes. So we love it. It's win-win. We are able to teach financial literacy skills. We're also able to, when Habitat homeowners come to our workshops, those hours are part of their split equity. So we really make it work for the Habitat homeowners. So it's home ownership, it's secondary education, and we also have the goal of car purchase as well. We ask that families save a minimum of 3 months. They have to do 8 hours of financial education. It is for Chester County residents. For all of those savings goals, Montgomery County residents, unfortunately, not for the car saving program right now. Must have an income. One of the most amazing thing that has happened is our partner who provides the match money is the United Way of Greater Philadelphia and Southern New Jersey, and they have increased the guidelines, the financial guidelines, to up to 400% of the poverty guidelines. And what that means is for people that it's huge. For a family of 3, I think it's $99,440. So when it used to be a very low income, it's now, a higher income, which is really great, because I think the median housing price in Chester County, and Chris, you might know better than I, but I want to say it's like close to 500,000. So it's really expensive for people to be able to purchase homes, affordable homes. All right. And then those free financial workshops that we do, they used to all be in person. Since COVID, they're all done on Zoom, and our attendance has been through the roof. People love it. They're able to attend from their home. There's no barriers with transportation to get there. There are strictly no promotional sales, nothing like that happens. It's all education. These are facilitated by volunteers in the community that are professionals in their fields. We have a realtor, we have a mortgage broker, we have somebody that purchases cars for a living, and they teach folks how to do that and what are all of the ins and outs of doing that. So we love our free financial workshops. We do those a series of 8 weeks in the spring and in the fall. And anybody is welcome to join those. We're also involved in some community building efforts. We do this Help Book, or the Purple Book. People in the Northern Chester County are very familiar with it. We've done 6 editions of the book. It is a health and human services guide. We have distributed over 260,000 books, and we also have it now on the website. It has its own website for both English and in Spanish. It's available, so it's a nice resource that we do in partnership with the Bingsfield Community Health Foundation. We also in Northern Chester County run PARN. It's a drop-in monthly meeting. It features 2 nonprofits in the community. They each get to speak about their work, and then there is time for networking and time for problem solving as well. We've been doing this for many, many years. It's been very successful. It's also been replicated in Coatesville. It's called CARN. In the state of Delaware, I think it's called DARN. So it's really darn cute, right? So let's see what else. Oh, we're involved in the Chester County Partnership to End Homelessness, and have really been working on ensuring that there is a system that allows people to come into the system who are experiencing homelessness, and hopefully gets them out of the system as soon as possible with housing stability. That's really our overall goal. And that's just our little QR code and our information if anybody would like to learn more about what we do. So let me stop sharing, or how do I do that? Stop sharing. Did that work?
It did not, but I can maybe take over. Let's see. Ah, there we go. I did it.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well,
Yeah, we've been partners for a very long time, and we love the partnership again with Habitat. It's a beautiful partnership, and people really get the most from the fact that we do this together.
and we talk about that partnership, and Ken mentioned this at the settlements when we were able to provide, a portion of that down payment to be able to help them do that. Kelly and Open Hearth, I wish you guys would just beef it up a little bit, do a little bit more, because it seems like maybe there's a free hour on a Sunday night that maybe you're not doing something. But as I said, it clearly, as dynamic as Kelly is and Open Hearth is, it is such a critical and important relationship. You mentioned sweat equity, and I want to comment on that too. That's a really important piece for Habitat, in that we require anyone who's going to be on the mortgage, any homeowner that's coming in, to do 200 hours of sweat equity, a partnership with us. Most of that is hammers and nails and helping build the house. But just as critical to the long-term success is that partnership with Open Hearth and that financial literacy, those savings programs, the being able to make sure that not only do you have the means to be able to get into your house, but we want you to stay in your house and be successful. We have an incredibly success rate, and it is because of those relationships, and it's because you are preparing our homeowners to be long-term homeowners and how to manage those ups and downs financially when they come. So just incredible, amazing work. I love the book too. I reference that all the time. We were just talking about that in the staff meeting a couple of days ago. So really fantastic.
Thank you, Chris. I actually think I rushed through just a wee little bit. I don't think I mentioned that the savings is for home ownership. It's save $2,000, get $4,000, so that people can bring $6,000 to settlement. And I will also just say, for the education, it's save $1,000 and get matched $3,000, and people can do that twice for college. So it's really cool. So please keep sharing. Thanks, Chris.
No, thank you. Thank you. Actually, it's one of the questions we have in a second we'll come up with. But before I get to the Q&A piece, and before I say all my thank yous, a couple other just announcements on my end from a Habitat standpoint for folks to keep in the know. There's lots of ways to continue to be a part of what we're doing and learn about all the opportunities to be able to support Habitat. Our website, all the things are up here. You can read those things. We've had lots of opportunities to be able to tell our stories in really creative ways. If you've not gotten involved in the VIP text group, that is one of the coolest things. You get insights and early notices about things that are upcoming. Obviously, all the social media pieces and that as well. So I'm going to stop sharing so we can have our folks back up here as well. There were a couple of questions that came through before we get to the end, and I say my thank yous. One thing that came up, and this was, I guess, maybe for Chad and Ken, there was a question about discounts or services for current Habitat homeowners or other folks in the community. Do you guys do anything to support homeowners through Habitat or other low-income homeowners? Do you have any programs like that people can find out about? And you're both muted, so. We'll need to unmute. There we go. Whoever would like to go first.
Chris, I'm sorry, that cut out. Was that directed at me?
At either one. Yeah. One of the questions that came through was just about if there's any programs, discounts, support, any kind of things that ViWinco or Chad's Ford or other partners that we do that they have for either our current homeowners or for other folks in the community that might be in a low income area.
Yeah, I think from our standpoint, because of the partnership, if we can direct that back through the Habitat in some way to us, we would be glad to support, help wherever we can, even outside of our partnership directly with you. So, yeah, anywhere we can help that has anything to do with Habitat, we'll be willing to do that on our side.
We lost Ken, but I will say, Chad, every time I've asked anything of ViWinco, the answer has always been yes. So I'm going to keep asking until I get to a no. So just
hopefully you never hear one. So we'll keep going.
I love it. Thank you. I don't want to speak for Ken, but I know in the past that he has offered discounts on being able to come out and do repairs for current HVACs, to be able to offer discounts. Ken is back. Ken, I'm telling him all the wonderful things you're willing to do, but I don't want to speak for you if you're able to reconnect and unmute and tell us about your
Yeah.
stuff that you guys do.
You can hear me now, I assume. You can hear me now? Yeah, okay. Real short, we're quite active in
I think we're losing you again, Ken. I'm sorry.
habitat, and any of I'll try it again. But first responders, military, and so on, senior citizens all benefit at least a 10% off whatever our normal program is. But we go above and beyond to find people that need special help, and each one of the programs is custom. For example, we have this senior couple in Delaware, a hoarding situation, but long story short, they have heat and put the system in for them.
Yeah, we've had a number of those opportunities, even internally, where we've had critical home repairs or needs, and we've reached out to Ken to be able to do that. I know Chad and Bywinco is supporting those critical home repairs too.
Safe,
Ken, I'm sorry, we're losing you. And I have one other quick question before I sign off. It was for actually the other nonprofits on how we could, I think the question was related to, what was the, referrals. What is, if, and you mentioned a little bit, Kelly, about self-referrals, but are there other ways if individuals have folks that either would fit into North Star or one of the many programs at Open Hearth, what is the best way to introduce them into your programs?
Yeah, similar to Kelly, you just need to pick up a phone and call us. That begins the process. And if somebody calls us and we cannot help them, we spend the time on the phone to find out what their need is, and we refer them to other partners that we have throughout the county to try to get them to the right place. So yeah, they can as simple as just a phone call or an email.
The same for us.
Yeah, wonderful.
We really try to have very little barriers. We have an office in Phoenixville that we welcome walk-ins, and we also have staff that are at the PA CareerLink Chester County United Way Financial Stability Center as well.
Wonderful. There were a few other questions, but we're coming to the end of the hour, so I'll hold off and ask you individually about someone. I think it was probably one of my board members asked about potential partnerships and fundraising, and definitely looking at foundational requests and partnering together that way. So that could be a whole other further discussion another time. Well, let me thank Don, Kelly, Ken, Chad. Thank you so much for tonight, but especially for the partnership you have with Habitat, the amazing work you're doing in the community. I'm honored to be back in Chester County. I had worked at the YMCA for years and years, had left to leave, but to come back to find that there's such great leaders in the nonprofit world and such gifted folks in companies and businesses that are wanting to promote what they do and give back into the community as well, has been just giving me all the great fill up the heart stuff that I need to be able to continue to do the job that I do. Habitat's doing amazing things. We're a lean, mean team. We don't have a huge staff team, but we have a really dedicated group of volunteers. And it is these partnerships that absolutely make it happen, to make this possibility of affordable housing a reality. So thank you all for tonight. Thank you for those that joined us online. Thank you for the Q&As, and thank you for those that have tuned in after the fact to watch us on the webinar. That will conclude this evening's presentation. Thank you all again for everything.
Very good. Thank you, Chris.
Thanks, Chris.
Thanks, everybody.